Good evening and welcome to Story Hour. I'm tonight's host, Laura Blackwell. My co-host, the marvelous Daniel Marcus, started Story Hour almost exactly 6 years ago to the day because he just wanted people to be able to have connections around this virtual campfire, telling stories the way humans were always meant to do. And it's been so much fun that we've been back almost every Wednesday for 6 years, always bringing you two fabulous writers reading their own fabulous stories. This week is a very special one because we have not only Gwendolyn Kiste, who has been a frequent favorite in the past, but Sara Tantlinger, who we think is going to be everybody's new favorite. So, well, not to say that you won't be, Gwendolyn, just, the whole,
I'm totally okay with that.
it's a whole favorites pantheon, you see. So if you are here on Zoom, feel free to chime in on the text chat. If you're here on YouTube, enjoy this without the pressures of socialization. But if you are watching later and you do feel like putting a little comment just to let the writers know that you like them and their stories, it makes us happy. We like that a lot. So try that. Our first reader tonight is Gwendolyn Kiste. Gwendolyn Kiste is the four-time Bram Stoker award-winning author of The Rust Maidens, Reluctant Immortals, The Haunted Houses She Calls Her Own, Bones Set in Feathers, Pretty Mary's All in a Row, and The Haunting of Velkwood. Her short fiction and nonfiction have appeared in outlets including LitHub, Nightmare, Best American Science Fiction and Fantasy, Crime Reads, Titan Books, The Lineup, and The Dark. She's a Lambda Literary Award winner, and her fiction has also received the This Is Horror Award for Novel of the Year, as well as nominations for the Shirley Jackson, Premios Kelvin, Ignotus, and Dragon Awards. Originally from Ohio, she now resides on an abandoned horse farm outside of Pittsburgh with her husband, their excitable calico cat.
So I'm Gwendolyn Kiste, and I am going to be reading from my new collection, The Haunted Houses She Calls Her Own. It literally came out yesterday, and Sarah and I did an event yesterday. Now we're doing an event again today. So Sarah and I are just hanging out all over the place, regaling everyone with stories. So I'm going to be reading from my collection. Like I said, I'm going to be doing a story called All the Hippies Are Dying, which is why I look like I'm from Woodstock, and might even have time to do a flash piece after this, but we'll see. I don't think I've ever read this one before for like a reading, so I'm like really excited. So, because I love hippies. All the hippies are dying. My mother went to Woodstock, the real one, not any of the imposters that came after. She says she met my father there, but since I've never met him myself, I can't be sure. And seeing how I was an 80s baby, a product of shoulder pads and Aquanet, not mud and free love, I doubt she kept him hidden away from relatives and friends for a decade and a half just to pull him out of cold storage and declare, "Let's make a baby." My mother never really left Woodstock. When I was growing up, she listened to the concert album every day. She kept a scrapbook of press clippings too, and a picture on the wall taken there of her and four friends, two girls and two guys, all mud-covered smiles and mud-covered bell-bottoms. "Are any of these my father?" I asked again and again, but she'd just laugh and shake her head. "If you know who he is," she said, "he won't be so important anymore. He'll be finite then. One pair of eyes, one nose, one body. Trust me, not knowing is better. This way your father is everything to you. Everything and anything." For all its flowery and existential underpinnings, the reason was a cop-out, but I couldn't get more than that from her. And because neither of the guys in the picture looked anything like me, I decided I belonged to the man who took the photo instead. My mother never talked about him, except to say he was a good photographer. And since I always had an affinity for pictures, that made the most sense, as if anything, even tangentially related to my mother, made sense. But sometimes I wondered if I had a father at all. Sometimes I thought she conceived me at Woodstock and incubated me inside her for 15 years. A decade and a half of reminiscing, of repeat listening, of repeat everything. Like maybe my femur was the neck of Jimi Hendrix's guitar when he played the Star-Spangled Banner. And maybe my hair came from Janis Joplin as she sang the bluest blues you ever heard. Maybe my father was everything my mother loved. And maybe that made me more real than anyone and everyone else. In 1969, my mother was 29, on the cusp of 30, which makes you too old for the cool crowd. After all, 31 meant you couldn't be trusted. Hippies are odd like that, all arbitrary and whatnot. Communes and acid and tie-dyes are nothing compared to the minutiae governing the social girders of their world. They want you to believe they're free, and they like to pretend they're free too, but out of every person I've known, my mother was the most trapped creature of all. She would lie next to that turntable, and right through the night she'd merge with the music, dissolving into the chords of Joan Baez and the shrieking vocals of Grace Slick. Most kids get Old MacDonald's Farm. I got Country Joe McDonald and the Fish. I learned to sleep with my fingers in my ears, blotting out the sound just like my mother blotted out everything except those 3.5 days from an August that might as well have been a millennium ago. Her first Social Security check came on my 20th birthday. Well, little girl, your old lady's really old now, she said as she went to the bank to cash the whole $72.03 of it. We'll all be dying soon, all us hippies. Don't be morbid, I said, and didn't think about it again until the first one went. It was the girl on the left in the picture, the girl with one arm around my mother's shoulder and the other hand holding up a peace sign. What else would she be holding up? A middle finger? Poor Norma Joe, my mother said, and removed a permanent marker from the drawer in the kitchen. I watched as she scratched out Norma Joe's smiling blonde face. That's really creepy, Mom. I wanted to pull the frame from her hands, but it was hers to do with what she wanted. But I still felt obligated to lodge complaints. It ruins the picture, too. The picture's fine, she said, admiring her work. At worst, it ruins the glass. And that's nothing. She handed me the photograph, and on instinct, my fingernail scratched at the black marker. The ink never budged. I gave it back to her. Why do it? She hung it in its rightful place beneath my first grade school picture. To keep track. Because you can't remember which of your friends is dead? Maybe someday I won't be able to, she said, and you don't care enough to remember for me. Mom, I whined and never asked about it again. Not even when the man in the middle went the next spring, or when the other girl, a redhead with a vibrant smile, died from heart failure in the fall. By my mother's hand, their faces turned to ink blots on our wall. After each funeral, she played the Woodstock album all the way through, and sometimes listened to it a second or third or fourth consecutive time. Those nights, she never enjoyed it. It was just in their honor. When a stroke took the last gentleman in the photo, and hers was the only face remaining, the world got darker. She rarely left the turntable. I had to cash her checks, buy the groceries, cook the food. I didn't mind so much, but she stopped all spontaneous speech, opting instead to answer in song lyrics and hummed melodies. I moved out. I stayed gone for months. Gone until she called me. I have cancer. It was the first original thing she'd spoken in 2 years. Our tests showed something unusual about her illness. The doctor in the office inspected me, the most curious lines on his face. What's that? I held my mother's hand as she studied the floor, not hearing and not caring. The doctor shuffled through a stack of papers, his gaze refusing to meet mine. The tumors are vibrating. I squinted at him. Vibrating? What does that mean? Well, we weren't sure, he said. So we went in for a closer examination. And? Your mother's cancer seems to be producing sound. My fingers gripped her hand tighter. The tumors are talking? Not talking, no, he said. Playing music. What kind of music? I asked, though I didn't need to. The first one we observed was on her right lung. It was resonating a perfect rendition of With a Little Help from My Friends. So her tumors are crooning Joe Cocker? I tried to sound surprised. Only one tumor. He motioned to an x-ray. These ones in her stomach are dance to the music. And this growth on her kidney is Arlo Guthrie. I pointed at a spot on her liver. How about that? The doctor shook his head and almost chuckled until he caught my glare. I had to go back to my own albums to remember the name of that tune, he said, straightening his posture in apology. Sweet Judy Blue Eyes, Crosby, Stills, and Nash. I scowled. That was the only song from Woodstock I actually liked, and now I could never like it again. Is there anything we can do? The cancer's already spread through her whole body. The doctor shook his head again. I'm sorry. Do you think the music caused it? We have no evidence of that, he said, and there's really no way of knowing. My mother didn't mind resigning herself to death. It was as if the moment she fled Max Yasgur's Catskills farm all those years ago, she was simply waiting to die. I want to help you plan my wake, she said one morning as we drove to another inane appointment. The office visits were more for the doctor than her. They'd poke and prod and marvel over her illness. She'd even made it in the local paper. The facts were mostly wrong, including a flagrant misspelling of my name. I'd rather not talk about your funeral, I said. Too bad, she stared out the window. It's coming one way or the other. Fine. What do you want? I want you to play the whole Woodstock album from start to finish. Then on the last song, on Jimi Hendrix solo, you lower the casket. I don't want to play that music, I said. I don't ever want to play it again. It killed you, Mom. That music killed you. Cancer killed me, she said. The music's keeping me entertained on the way out. She had another request, too. I screamed at her about that one, but she insisted. So on the morning her body sang its last Grateful Dead tune, I left the hospital and drove straight to her house, where I took the picture from the wall and scratched out the glass over her face. Then I collapsed on the floor and cried so hard even Hendrix's guitar couldn't drown me out. At her funeral, crowds of people attended. So many people, it was as if all the survivors from Woodstock were there. Like that photographer I'd always been so curious about. He didn't look as much like me as I'd hoped, but he was nice enough. Your mother was an amazing woman, he said, and I wondered how he got the right to say that since he hadn't seen her in years. I removed the blacked out picture from her casket. She'd want you to have this, I said. It took some finagling, but at the graveyard I was able to plug her turntable into a portable battery. We listened to the whole Woodstock album, which turned out to be 3 separate discs. There was never any pause when she listened to them. She must have been so skilled with the transition between records that I never noticed. When the festivities were over, I slipped the caretaker a 50 and watched as he dropped the turntable and all the vinyl into the grave. They don't like to bury things in the dirt around the casket, but the cords and cover art couldn't fit inside with her. Besides, Woodstock happened in the mud, so the souvenirs from my mother's life were at home there. By now, there's grass sprouting between the grooves of those abandoned records, and there's probably worms making love, not war, on the turntable. And in the middle of the night, I bet those songs still play. Maybe the tumors join in, or maybe they're like my mom and they just listen. Just lie back and listen. All right, I have a few more minutes, so I'm going to do one more very short piece from the collection. It is called In the Belly of the Wolf. It's a flash piece. It's the only flash piece in the book. There we go. Close your eyes, but remember, the wolf hides best in the dark. Your family warned you long ago. A young man should never walk unattended in the woods, especially at night when the full moon flashes like a faded coin. The silvery evening spins wicked promises it can't keep. It conjures magic like a gleaming figure, her body halfway between woman and wolf. Are you lost, sir? She smiled at you, broad and savage, and never were you so certain you were exactly where you belonged. In the mountains, bitter as heartbreak, she howled for you. And you answered. We're all born wild, she whispered, as you curled up with her on verdant hills that sloped like breasts beneath your bodies. Soon she swelled with your love, and you daydreamed of a life together. But your family discovered your secret. They condemned you, pelted you with words and whips, and told you what you must do. You must be a good son. You must do the right thing. After all, a man cannot marry a wolf, no matter how well the daylight hides her wildness. Tonight you find her in the forest, waiting for you, her belly round and smooth as marble. You're late, she says, and you kiss her, the taste of sweet stars on her lips. The baby kicks beneath her pelt, and you want to stay with her. This is not to be. The knife trembles behind your back, and the last thing you see as the curved blade sinks into her womb is the grief in her eyes, more potent than monkshood. Hands red with shame, you wrench the child from her and cut the last tether that binds you to the wolf. Try not to scream in agony as it snaps. When you're done, her insides will be cavernous and wanting, and you might feel obliged to give her something in return, a trade of sorts. You have several options. Fill her with sweetmeats, still glistening red. Fill her with rocks, as heavy as regret. Fill her with nothing at all. Remember, she is a wolf. She's lucky you don't slit her throat. And you're lucky she doesn't rip out yours. You should, finish her, but instead you run, faster now. In your arms, the child does not cry. She only stares at you, her eyes like fragile ice, soft and accusing. Halfway home, dip her pink body in the murmuring brook and rinse the placenta from between her fingers and toes, banish every trace of the mother who would have loved her and would have loved you too, if only the moon had allowed it. With your heart in your boots, return to your cottage with the child. Remind yourself this is for her own good. She deserves better than a feral beast of a mother, but she also deserves better than you. Your family, pleased with your betrayal, welcomes you across the threshold. You've done well, our son, they say, but you do not feel well. You fear you'll never feel well again. At night, as the baby babbles in her crib, you sit at the fireplace strung with dried amaranth and silver buttons, silly words that will repel nothing when the wolf comes calling. And she will come calling. Already you hear her. Those distant echoes, those distant howls once meant for you, howls that remind you of green hills and sweet stars and a belly full of longing. Close your eyes and pretend not to sob. Overnight, your daughter blossoms, but not in the way you hoped. Do your best to tame her. Comb the tangles of briars atop her crown and file her dagger-sharp teeth into a respectable shape. You don't want your kin to see the wild that lives in her like a wall of ivy, untamed and ever-growing. Besides, there's already enough tempest here. The wolf circles closer now. In the evening, her silken pelt wrestles against the fastened shutters. The moon is not full, but that no longer matters. No lunar cycle can temper her rage. Before dawn, her sweet lullaby beckons you, and you swallow the howl that bubbles up your throat, like grog in a Yule kettle. You want to go to her, to love her, to beg for forgiveness, but you know it's too late for sorry. Their faces gray as steel, your family sets snares around the cottage, desperate for relief, and for a hide to drape from the mantle. To keep the child from the cold, they say, and their mere suggestion prickles your flesh. You can imagine nothing crueler than the skin of her own mother warming your daughter on a winter's eve. But the wolf is too clever for your simple-minded stock. One by one the snares snap, but it's never her body you discover in the morning. You become good at moving earth as the funerals of your mother, your father, your brothers and sisters become as regular as Sunday Mass. At each burial, close your eyes and this time pretend to sob. Pretend you are despondent even though you are not, even though you are secretly relieved that she lives and your family does not. The wolf leaves you for last. You aren't sure if this is punishment or mercy. Tonight you'll find her in the forest waiting for you. Go to her now. There is nothing left to stop you. Just don't expect forgiveness. Instead, expect only what you deserve. When she materializes in the shadows, tip back your head and cry out. Don't worry if the melody from your lips is more monster than mortal. You were born wild. We all are. As she closes in, offer her the daughter you stole, the daughter who pirouettes in the moonlight as if it's her own kin. And in the devouring darkness, walk to the wolf, who will never stop loving, never stop circling, never stop howling at the silvery moon, her belly empty as the universe. Thank you.
I do love that idea that we all are born with that wildness in us. At Story Hour, we like to just take a moment between the writers because we have these stories already hanging on us, and it just takes a moment to hold them into ourselves and ready ourselves for more. So I like to do this with the breath, just everyone. That was Gwendolyn Kiste reading from her new book, her new collection. And next up, we have Sara Tantlinger. Sara Tantlinger is the author of the Bram Stoker Award-winning The Devil's Dreamland, poetry inspired by H.H. Holmes, as well as other works like To Be Devoured, Cradle Land of Parasites, and Love for Slaughter. She's also the proud editor of the Stoker-nominated anthologies Not All Monsters and Chromophobia. Her latest work is her debut fiction collection, Cyanide Constellations. She is an active HWA member and participates in the HWA Pittsburgh chapter. She embraces all things macabre and can be found at saratantlinger.com and on Instagram at inkychaotix. Sara, welcome to Story Hour.
Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here. Following Gwendolyn's hard though, but I'm gonna do my best.
I think that you're up to the task. Gwendolyn recommended you for this task, so surely
This is true.
this is our path to success.
All
What do you
right.
have for us tonight?
So I'm going to read a story from Cyanide Constellations, which was recently nominated for a Stoker this year. I'm going to read the story As Humans Burn Beneath Us. And I will give a content warning for this story. It does have child death and a lot of climate anxiety. So if you're not in the mood for that, I understand. All right. So this is As Humans Burn Beneath Us. We should have been endless, an unlimited inspiration for humans to look up at, to trace invisible patterns around our billowing puffs of particles and name us dragons or castles or whatever wonder their imagination created. It's a shame the creativity of humans could not extend to saving their own planet. We thought we'd be forever in this sky. But to condemn our remaining network to Earth is to condemn the last of us to an irreversible death. Below us, a small human boy in a turquoise shirt glances up. He waves a frantic hand. He names us cotton candy, though we are no such thing. Perhaps he's not too far off. The spectacular orange sherbet sky bleeds into raspberry sunset. This will be one of the last nights when our wispy bodies pool and stretch like dark purple taffy across dusk's dazzling colors. We are dying. When the first of us vanished, the humans barely noticed. When they did notice, oblivious human lips twisted to name it normal. And we wonder what has happened in their great brains to think such things could ever be normal. We do not think of humanity as stupid, yet with all of their evolved creations and technology, their collective selfishness could never come together wholly enough to solve the mystery of our disappearances. Now that the first clouds have gone, the rest will follow rapidly. Awareness weighs heaviest in our vapors, with knowledge of our impending termination. Unlike the humans, however, we can cling to hope. We can set aside one droplet, hide it like the cherished prize the humans could never see it to be, and generate clouds again when humanity destroys itself. Turquoise Shirt walks into a house with protective panels and strange tubes that snake around from ground to bricks. Ideas humans cobble together to help keep their bodies cool. So much they have normalized, yet there is so much gone. Do they understand what will happen when the last of us vanishes? All of their science at hand, and all they've done is create Pandora's box. Let the lid of the sky crack open. Then act surprised at what sprung forth from that burning chasm. They will never be prepared for what emerges, even though the fault remains their own. The most imaginative of dystopian fantasies could never come close to the searing pain of their inevitable demise, of their skin bubbling before fleshy chunks liquefy and slide off bones like thickly oiled globs. So many will watch their children die first, and even that thought has never been enough to propel humanity into significant changes. They hardly notice our loss, but we notice their chaos. And when the last humans fall to their knees, shins sticking to lava-like asphalt on buckled pavement, when their organs wither to dried prunes and tumbleweed lungs, we will rejoice. Even if we're gone, we will find joy somehow through the extinction of humankind. Water will find a way, and every droplet will learn when to stop its evolution. Transformation back into plants, into rivers, into panthers and shining green beetles, but never back into two-legged walkers who destroy everything when it does not hurry up for them, when it does not match their schedule. Did the humans schedule themselves to die? If not, they should. We want to watch as many as we can burn before the last of us evaporates. Our collective memory from the beginning of time until the almost end will store every sweet drop of human suffering. Unbearable humidity overwhelms the outdoors. Those lucky enough to have air conditioning in their homes will learn to adapt or die because everything will soon break. No new clouds are poised to form. We are done. With nowhere to go, water hangs heavy in the air, slickens the skin of all who dare step outside away from their protective indoor sanctuaries. It only takes 1 degree. 1 small degree of Earth warming up. And listen, do they hear it? Flight turbulence disturbs machines in the air. The protection of clouds long gone. So where does the sunlight bounce? Nowhere. Hot air rises in uneven eruptions, shaking once smooth flights into bad ones. Most of the planes manage to land. Others fall from the sky. Comets burning through the horizon so fast, so hot. Nothing left of the plane's body or the human bodies. When the sun rises and the last newscasters aim to cover such tragedies, there will be nothing left for cameras to capture, assuming the equipment can withstand the heat. Some humans are smart, stocked up on water and supplies, but no level of preparedness can save them from what's to come. How could they ever prepare for the lessening of rain, for no more snow, for water sources to dry into brittle beds of sawdust and heartbreak? The ones who survive longest will be the ones who have the most water, until others with guns arrive to shoot away those smart brains that thought to hide precious supplies. No more water, no more brains. Meanwhile, others in private rockets will fly away to space, laugh, rejoice at the promise of a new colony. Humans will do what they do best: consume. Take until nothing remains. Watch their own uncles and dogs and mothers crumple into dead, dry spiders. In another part of the world, as Turquoise Shirt gets ready for sleep, another child wakes up. Sunlight peeks through her window, glistens in harsh brightness against desert sand outside her family's home. Dust grains mix with water vapor, air condenses, cloud droplets form, rise to join us far above the town. But this process is in danger. Everything here a hazard, and the humans should have spelled out warning in the sky with neon paint, flown the message across their shriveling planet about the disappearance of clouds. But we are too insignificant for them to recognize as important, as essential, as the monster who will let them burn. We do not feel pity, not anymore. What follows could only ever be a consequence of their own inaction. Beyond the desert, something terrible detonates. The little boy will wake up, watch the news with his parents just before static takes over the television. Similar white noise will rule radio stations and infect human minds with terror, because our departure, mixed with the Molotov medley of a tragic accident, is destined to send the climate spiraling into its already irreversible trajectory. What happens next makes Chernobyl look laughable. The governments call it an accident, and we wonder if the humans believe them this time, as they always have. Or maybe they'll realize the powerful have grown tired of waiting for Earth's demise. See how ready the elite are to jet their own worthy people away to a space settlement where the majority of the human populace is not invited. No clouds here in the desert. We've scattered. Why has so much radioactive waste and new material been stored in such a dry area without humans noticing? Their ignorant faith in higher powers and government figures baffles us. Clouds hover no more. Nothing left to absorb outgoing radiation. Without the clouds, no barriers exist to diminish the blow, to lessen the way energy travels between space and Earth. Only warmth, a kind of blue flame heat that ricochets up from a mushroom cloud of toxic chemicals lit aflame. That'll be all the humans know as they suffocate on air thick with burning ash. We leave. Our remnants gather far away from the false cloud of the desert, the only cloud there now, a horrid plume consisting of ammonia-scented toxic waste before it mingles with odors of flesh melting off faces. Finger bones charred to glowing embers, clothes disintegrate. The girl in the desert exists no more. Her skin reduced to sticky stretches of bubblegum meat, connecting her upper body to the clay wall of her family's home. Miraculously, the wall stands. The girl's remains dangle from it, slumped forward, melted to its surface. Eternal, we once filled the sky with stratus, with clouds thin as willows and blooming kernels of popcorn puffs, forming shapes for the humans to assign us silly names. No more. No more cooling. Sunlight is not softened. Instead, it meets nuclear blast and radioactive plumes and fries the boy in the turquoise shirt like a sticky egg to the sidewalk before his parents find him, scream their heads off as their own heat demise arrives. Liquefies skeletons to seep between cement cracks down into Earth's roots, its breaking crust and its cracking core. We once stretched miles across the whole planet, and now we're scarce, near extinct. Lightweight vapors woven into something great, suspended like magic disguised in complicated physics. The humans did not protect us. They did not save the dolphins or polar bears. They did not care when rainforests burnt to cinders and deforestation prevailed. Ignorant eyes win devastating prizes. We don't mean to be callous clouds, but the humans took sick glee in prepping their doomsdays and playing make-believe apocalypse. Yet when wildfires seized land and tornadoes swallowed towns, when foolish spills turned clear waters black, what did humanity do? All dead, all gone. We are almost gone too. A handful remains, connected to all of us through wispy tendrils. We hold on to the last clouds, watch together as it all ends. If we were to fall to earth instead of having been forced to disappear, we would have fallen so gently, a patchy white veil of vapor leaving thin, watery sheens on surfaces. No harm, no death. Instead, we did not fall. We were banished. Climatologists cautioned what would happen if Earth warmed 1 degree, 2 degrees, and now the coral reefs are bleached out specks of dust. Fish are nothing but rotting carcasses. The planet ravaged by both flood and drought, by drowning and flames. Nothing cancels each other out when the whole system shatters. Even the liquid of blood congeals into hard putty within seconds. 2 degrees turns to 4 degrees of warming. 1 cloud remains, a threadbare wisp of a thing barely able to store the death of Earth in its spider-web-thin vein of memory. Boy in turquoise shirt and girl in desert have been dead long enough for their bones to morph to dust, because that is the kind of heat humans have created and assume the planet would be just fine. Massive loss of species. If any insects or animals survive, even we cannot see them from the sky. They will not last much longer. Remaining humans have hunkered down into bunkers, deep below dirt, seeking coolness, but so little can be found. Weather obeys no master now, and it will destroy them all one way or another. Savage meteorological conditions reign. Dry storms learn to create something akin to lightning without rain or wind or clouds. We have never seen fiery bolts like these. And even we are unsure of what to call such terror. Spears of flame pierce through cracked sky and strike onto chalky terrain. No one can adapt to this. 8-degree warming follows and brings with it unimaginable destruction. We were never supposed to let change spiral this large. Clouds and humans alike, all of this life. This was not the plan, not now, not so soon. The final change ruptures Earth's heart apart. One last lightning strike fractures the sky, splits crust and mantle as if it has gripped a supercontinent in invisible hands and splintered it to pieces. We were here for Pangea, and we are here for the end, as flames spew from the deepest grotto beneath cores and engulf everything in one last bright orange sherbet light. How it soars across the falling sky. Eerie but similar to a last pretty sunset where a boy in a turquoise shirt still dreamed. The naked atmosphere shudders and bolts of fire from that strange dry lightning glow with unnatural colors. Whatever it is, it has evolved. The last cloud we see before we die is a familiar radioactive billow, something that exists outside of our network, something we cannot communicate with. Nuclear lightning descends upon the traumatized planet. Perhaps one day it'll seek out a place for us. But until then, what such change creates after the last cloud disappears, we will never know. Thank you.
It was quite a beautiful and yet horrific painting. I really felt like it was sort of, Bosch, Goya, that sort of thing.
I'll take that.
Just, realistic. It was very visual. Oh. We have more time if you have another one to read. If you didn't prepare another thing.
No,
that's
I
okay, too.
didn't. I probably read that faster than I intended to.
It's very easy to do. I'm just greedy when it comes to stories. I hear a good story and I say, oh, that's great. Bring me another one. So tonight I made out like a bandit. Even with the Pixies killing off my internet connection for a while. They get jealous. Well, thank you very much. That was quite a story hour debut.
Thank you.
And I
Thank
have
you
to
so
say,
much.
Daniel, oh, it's our pleasure. And Daniel, this is a really auspicious way to do a 6th anniversary, wouldn't you say?
Oh, I'm telling you, absolutely. Thank you both so much. Really lovely work. Transcendent, truly.
Beautiful. I can't wait to rewatch the part that was stolen from me while I was trying to watch earlier. Now, did we get all of Gwendolyn's bio, or did the Pixies also get jealous of all her many awards?
We got nearly all of the fabulous accolades.
Okay, because that's important. No one can take those away. Well, that was amazing. And every week here at Story Hour is so different. Next week, we are going to have Tobias S. Buckle. It's going to be a science fiction fantasy night. And the other reader is right now a mystery, but we'll post it as soon as we can for you. It's always good to check storyhour2020.com for that kind of news, any announcements, any changes. And it's also a good place to check the calendar, see what's coming up, what you really don't want to miss. And you can even just scroll through the recordings and just see whichever ones you want to watch that you may have missed, or you might just want to watch again.
Or
as many
just zone
times as you
out in the
like.
nice gentle waves on the page,
Yeah.
which I do from time to time.
Do you really? That's I did not know that. And you can also watch any programs you may have missed. Watch this one a few more times at the Story Hour YouTube channel, which is Story Hour 2020. Gwendolyn Kiste, Sara Tantlinger, thank you so much for sharing your stories with us and celebrating Story Hour's 6th anniversary. I really like the feeling that this gives us for starting out on another 6 or more years.
Thank you so much for having me back. This was so much fun.
It is our pleasure, and you know you are always welcome. Standing invitation.
As are you, Sarah, of course.
Thank you so much.
I like to make him say it first. So thank you also to SIFWA for the Givers Fund grant that helps us keep the stories coming year after year. Thank you very, very much to Daniel Marcus. Without literally none of us would be here, without whom this Zoom room would be a barren, burning landscape, much like that painted in Sarah's story. And thank you, all of you who are watching these stories, whether you're watching now, whether you're in the Zoom, whether you're watching at some point in the future on YouTube. As long as you enjoy these stories, we're all together. We're all in the same story hour.